I'd like to call the 8/14/2024 Newport Code Enforcement Board meeting to order. And I'll wait for Tiffany to get there to take the roll.
Chad Silber,
Present.
Raymond Butts,
Present?
Mark Marin,
Here.
Jan Nepshield,
Present.
Glenn Taylor.
Here.
Okay. I'm sure the rest of the board members know that we only have one case being appealed tonight, but before we do that, there's some administrative issues to be taken care of. We had 2 meetings, and we have 2 sets of minutes. On the first set of minutes, not everybody was present. I think it was Jan and myself, and you were present.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to, let me know if you want to accept those minutes, or if there's any corrections for the June 19th, 2024 meeting.
Good to me.
I forgot, Mark, you were also there too, sorry about
Yeah.
that. Okay, can I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Also moved. I second.
We have a first and second. Tiffany, you take the roll call.
Chad Silber,
Abstain. Wasn't at the meeting.
Raymond Butts,
Yes.
Mark Marin,
Yes.
Jan Nepshield,
Yes.
Glenn Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, the second set of minutes are for the June 26, 2024 meeting. All members were present at that meeting, so if there's aren't any corrections or anything that needs to be discussed, can I have a motion to accept those minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and second. Tiffany, can you take the roll call?
Chad Silber,
Yes.
Raymond Butts,
Yes.
Mark Marin,
Yes.
Jan Nepshield,
Yes.
Glenn Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. There's some instructions that I want to present to everybody, what you have to do before we conduct the meeting. We have one case tonight. It's citation number 24233, Octavian Akar, Fitzsimmons Lot and Tag Cars. The way this meeting is conducted, first, the city will provide testimony pertaining to the case for discussion and questions by the board. Second, the appellant can provide testimony pertaining to the case for discussion and questions by the board. And third, any other person can provide testimony pertaining to the case for discussion and questions by the board. The appellant and the city will have the right to cross-examine any witness that testifies. After all testimony is given, the board will deliberate and vote on their decision for the case. The board's decision will be mailed to the appellant, and you will have 30 days to appeal the decision to the Campbell County District Court. Anyone that will be testifying during this meeting will be administered the oath of truth. Also, when you testify, you must speak from the lectern, stating your name and address, and limit your testimony pertaining to the case. So first thing to do, I need to swear everybody in that's going to be speaking at this meeting tonight. So if you could stand, raise your right hand, and I'll administer the oath of office. Oath of truth. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you will provide to the Newport Code Enforcement Board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. All right. As I said previously, we have one case, and that case is citation 24233, Octavian Akar, I might be messing the name up, if you correct me if I am, Fitzsimmons Lot and Tag Cars. Will the city like to present the case to the board?
There we go, that's on. We'll start with Mr. Shields. Mr. Shields, if you want to go ahead.
Good afternoon to the board. Before we even begin the board, I'd like to put it on the record that this action is not personal whatsoever against Mr. Acker. What is clear by the residents of the city of Newport who have had to endure his disregard goes back all the way to 2013. 2013 to the present, on numerous occasions, Mr. Acker has been cited, letters written, vehicles abated, any type of course of action that we could take to get him to work with us or for us to work with him. Up until recently, 2023, we was able to sit down with his attorney at that time and try to establish a plan, an effective plan that will have the property cleaned up. And we've not been able to, this began in December of '23. It's now August, and we still don't have what we need to happen in terms of the property. And all we've been asking is that the property, that all junk, trash, and debris has been removed from the property, that unregistered or inoperable vehicles be removed from the property. We've asked for the grass cut on the property, and just simply none of that has happened. We've attempted, as I said earlier, we attempted to establish a willingness to work together with his attorney, and it's as though they just really had no intention of working. So for that reason, it's our hope that today, the code board will decide that he is responsible for the citations, the liens, whatever actions he's taking against him, but ultimately he needs to get it clean. What I also like the board to know is, effective tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, if he hasn't resolved it, I will cite him. We worked with him, so the attorney can share the same expression with you. For whatever the reason is, he's just not been willing to work.
Is there a number of, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Jim.
is there a number of vehicles that can be stored in an area like that at a given time?
No, if
Number
this is-
one.
if this is
Part B, does the gentleman own all the property that the vehicles are stored on now?
does own the majority, he owns the property that he's on. But some of the vehicles, we believe are not even in his name. So a lot of those vehicles have just been sitting there. If you look at the pictures, and it just got removed probably in the last month, but there is a water ski that's literally been sitting there. If you look at all the pictures from 13.
I was there today.
Yeah, from 13 up until probably 23, it was there. So that in itself alone should make the statement that he has had no willingness to work with us. And he needs to be held accountable.
Go ahead.
What was the resolution on the 2013 and 2019 citations? Did he pay those citations or appeal them?
Yeah, he always pays the citation unless he appeals it.
We have the
We
same
don't have a
issue.
problem getting the payment.
One other thing, back then, the citations were only like $30. It was minimal back then, when he first got cited. I need some clarification on his complaint, his appeal. And maybe I need to talk to the appealant if you can, on number one, his exterior of my property is, I can't make out that word that, maybe one of the board members can tell me what that means.
I couldn't either.
I think what he's saying in number one is that his property is clean.
Okay,
I couldn't understand it either, but
okay, and I'll ask the appealant when he approaches the lectern, because I was curious what he was trying to. So, has the city ever brought the EPA in, because these are vehicles that are stored there that may be exposing citizens to environmental concerns, and it may be something such as gas leaking. I seen a tank on there. I'm not sure if it was a paint sprayer or if it was acetylene torch, and just by looking at it, I couldn't make out what it was. So I wonder if there's any concern with environmental protection agency maybe having to take a look at this to investigate it.
well, that wasn't a step that we looked at. But what we did look at was the condition of his building. If you look at the fire chief's report, Points 5, 6, and 7, which says portion of entry. The fire department feels that you would have to take extreme caution to walk in the building.
Wow.
Reason is because of the damage is so extensive on the roof that they fear that it could collapse. So that's why they will not go in there. If it were to catch fire, they would take a defensive stance on it and put it out from the outside. They
What-
wouldn't go in.
What is stored in that building?
Well, we don't know because we've not been in it. But what we believe is in there is maybe vehicle parts, maybe oils. We don't really know. But definitely we would assume that it is.
And the reason I bring up about the EPA is if that's a facility that services vehicles, there's a proper way how to dispose of different type of chemicals and gasoline and oil and stuff like that. And I would be wondering if he's working on these vehicles or dismantling them, what is he doing with that, those oils or that gas? And I can ask the appellant when he
We
gets up.
couldn't say because we don't know. That would definitely be a question after.
You know, and in addition, there was a lot of the vehicles that I looked at, and I tried to look as best I could. They didn't have license plates on them, so,
I'm just gonna cut into the board real quick. I apologize, but this is not really what we're talking about today. These might be issues for the future, but these aren't really issues for what we're talking about as far as the citations.
okay.
So we're gonna try to just stick kind of just to the citation itself, and Barry can touch on any more questions about that, but that's only about the package. That's
Okay.
today.
What, how many, what's the total of pending fines right now?
Well, pending fines at this point would be currently $300.
Okay, and how long has he owned the property, do you know?
I do not know that. I mean, I can
But we've been going after this since 2013,
definitely have been attempting. since
So 11 years.
We had at least, including myself, 4 code officers that would work with us.
okay? And if you take action tomorrow, it'll be another 300?
It may not be 300, let me see. Yeah, it would be, well, actually it'd be 400 because at the time I wrote this, the grass was cut. So the condition is in now, I would tighten the grass as well.
May I piggyback a question on yours?
Sure, please do.
Going back to when all this started, what was his first fine?
The first fine would be, and I believe Mike Cronin might have wrote that.
They got,
So, yeah, Mike would have wrote that on August 2nd, 2013.
And what was the penalty for that? Recall?
It was for autos not licensed or running. No motor, so it looks like what it was he cited him for each vehicle.
Okay, but how much?
So that would be $150 because at that time,
Okay.
the fee was $30.
And here, the fee was $30?
$30 at that time in, 2013.
Here we are,
11 years.
11 years later?
what,
11 years later, and the penalty's only gone up, what, $50?
Well, it's
For
$100
vehicle?
now, and then after 10 days, that $100 converts to $500.
actually, it was cited on 2019 also, and those penalties then were $100 each, and it was $500. So he's been cited 3 times, back 2013, when the penalty was $30, $150 maximum, 5 different violations. 2019, 2 violations, where the fine was $100 with a maximum fine of $500. And now he's cited 3 times, 3 citations, and you're speaking of, when you look tomorrow, there might be 4 citations.
You all
Sir, but we
understand the
also-
point that I'm trying to make? It's- The penalty here does not fit the time.
Right.
I'm not saying that the crime, the time. And, I have
Well, let's talk to him before we make any conclusion.
I'm going to ask, the city's going to ask Mr. Shields just a quick question. Mr. Shields, to talk about the cleanliness of the property, would you say that all debris and excess growth, weeds, and grass has been cleared from this property, or has it not?
It has not, sir.
Okay.
And there was an additional citation that was written to agree, but I deleted it. Good faith. Once we came to an agreement of what we would do and what he would do, I deleted
How long ago was that?
23, I believe it was November, December.
So last fall?
Yes, sir.
And nothing was done after that?
I mean, very little, sir, to be honest with you, because if you go through this packet, you're gonna see some stuff, junk trash and debris that's sitting outside the building that was there in 13. Some of it is literally still there.
Is the residence being used, or is it viable? Is it
It's a
abandoned?
commercial building, sir. It's
Commercial?
not a resident, but
So it
however,
looks like
there
a
are
home.
Two residents who
Hey,
live there.
real quick, just to cut in, sorry. But again, we're not talking about that building.
Okay.
We're only talking about the light.
I was just looking, it looked like a home.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Again, that's something that we can talk about right now. All we're talking about is
Okay.
but no, as far as we know, no one's residing at this residence, or this commercial property.
We're not going down that path. We're not getting
Okay.
into commercial things. We're only talking about
The lot.
Fitzsimmons
Okay.
lot behind.
I've noticed in these pictures here, cars and trucks and things here will haul license plates on them.
What was your question about the license plate?
Well, it says Ohio, it's got Ohio license plates on the vehicles. Why would they be here in our area? I assume the plates are expired. Are they a resident over here, or does this belong to somebody else in another?
We believe that, if not all, most of the vehicles on the property doesn't belong there. The reason that we feel strongly about that is I was able to tow 4 of his vehicles. One of the vehicles, the owner of the vehicle came up to the city requesting for his vehicle, and I authorized the tow company to give him back his vehicle. Because it would be like he's being penalized for something he didn't do. And we don't know the inners and outers of their agreement. We don't really care. We just want the vehicles gone.
Well, would, us as a city, it's probably more of a legal device, will we have permission on automobiles that the tags and stuff things is run out of? And it's a nuisance to the community of taking care of this problem ourselves and getting rid of it. Because it could be a hazard to everyone that lives in the area. You know, kids and stuff, they'll get on property where people's not around and stuff. They could be playing in those vehicles, or anything could happen to them. You know, I just wondering, is there something we can do in that particular case?
We can discuss that, or that might be a question for the appellant, whether these are his
Okay,
or not.
yeah.
Let's let him have a chance to talk on that first. I don't want to go down there until he's had a chance to discuss, or the attorney's had a chance to present their case. Are there any questions for Mr. Shields?
I've got a question, and I think they'll probably be brought up by the appellant, but the off-street parking part of the citation, I believe it says new off-street parking. To explain how that applies to this, it doesn't appear to be, I mean, it just appears to be a grass lot.
Correct, so.
And that, does that apply to?
Yes, sir.
That
The
fits in?
city of Newport, if you're gonna have vehicles parked, they have to be parked on a, concrete surface, they cannot be parked on grass. Now, at one time, there was gravel there, which was allowed. But he has allowed the gravel to sink so deep into the ground and the grass and weeds to grow, you can't even see, in most cases, you cannot even see the gravel.
But his use of it, as it is now, falls under the definition of a new off-street parking?
No, because it's not considered off-street parking, it's a lot with overgrown weeds. It would be considered a lot if it was concreted. Park his vehicles.
Well, I guess I might be reading it wrong then, but it seems to me that the citation says that he's in violation because his off-street parking is not paved. Okay. The ordinance says that paving of new off-street parking areas must be paved.
Yes, we, as a matter, we were trying to get him to clean it up first.
Right.
Then our next conversation with him would have been about concreting the surface, as opposed to just leaving it the way it is with being parked on grass. We never got to that because he never completed the agreement that we had set aside. So we never was able to get to it.
And one more question on the motor vehicles part. I guess there's two different ways that he could be in violation. The vehicles could either be inoperative or unlicensed, or they could be in state of disrepair or disassembly. Are you stating that both of those are the case?
Well, and some of them they were. They are not currently. As of today, when I went back down there, they were current. I guess the best way to prove if the vehicles were operable, which we asked to drive them to the city building. That's how we would know. If we don't see it move, it would be a reasonable assumption that the vehicle is inoperable.
Okay. Even if it is operable, are some of these in major disassembly or disrepair?
Some, but I wasn't really affected in terms of the appearance of them, because they don't look like they don't look parted out. They look like whole vehicles. But you could have a whole vehicle that doesn't run.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have I don't have a question for you, Barry, but I've got a question for our attorney. I don't know if you can answer this or not. Kentucky Revised Statute stipulates to go on private property and cite for non-city stickers, non-tags, stuff like that, that the Attorney General has came out and said that can't be done. Is that the reason why we're not having our police department to cite them for these?
I'm gonna bring up the police officer in a little bit,
Okay,
talk about that.
okay.
If you want, we can go on to that.
Yeah, but I'm good with that. I was just curious about that. And
Well, the difference between us and Captain Kunkel will be that if vehicles were parked in the right-of-way, he would be able to cite them.
Right,
But if they're parked on
private property.
private property, then that will fall.
Okay. All right.
Ready to call Mr. Kunkel.
Does the board want to listen?
Next, or did you want me to finish with our presentation? Yes.
I wasn't sure how it worked, I could ask you a question now or not.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. If you want to jump.
You have the right to, yeah. Approach the lectern and tell us your name and how you represent the client, or if you are the appellant.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. Can you hear me okay? This is kind of far away.
Hard to adjust, but
Yeah.
sorry about that.
That's all right. My name is Sean Callan. I'm an attorney at Manley Burke, and I'm here on behalf of the appellant, Octavian Aker. And at this point, I only have a couple of brief questions directed to Mr. Shields. As I understand, the reason we're here tonight, it's about the Fitzsimmons lot. Is that right? In the violations that are associated with that lot. Is that right? All right. And that is not a picture of the Fitzsimmons lot, is it?
No, it's not.
All right. Can we put up a picture of what the Fitzsimmons lot actually looks like?
Well, would you be okay if we just ran the video?
Yeah, I don't care. I haven't seen it, but
Sorry, Tiffany.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear with the commissioners. This has nothing to do with why we're here tonight. This looks bad, I give you that, but it's not the violations that we're here to discuss. And to the extent it's up here to taint this proceeding, I object to it. And I don't think it's a fair presentation of the evidence in this case. I would encourage everyone to disregard this picture. And if you want to take it up again, we'll take it up again. But that's not for tonight. And that's all I have right now.
Do you want to present your presentation?
Yes, sir.
And I believe the board, myself, I have some questions about that photo, but I'll let you do your presentation.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, but this seems to be further exploration of matters that are immaterial to what's before the commission tonight, and I would object to this entire tape.
I mean, it's about to start panning over to where the vehicles are. I started there because that's where the property is,
There you are.
all the way around.
So this is the lot?
This is the beginning of where the vehicles are, which is his property. Now, that black vehicle is not his property. I mean, that is not his vehicle, and that vehicle is on city property, not his.
So that's all city property there, is that correct? That
From here-
overgrown area?
From here over, it's his property.
That's right. So all that overgrown brush and stuff is on city property.
That's on his property.
And the car carrier that was at the beginning of that was on city property, was
Yes.
this also?
Yes, sir.
So where that white pickup is, that's his property?
That is his property, sir.
That is pretty cleaned up compared to the city property.
Or maybe clean out, but the vehicle shouldn't be because they're
We'll take that up. I just want to be clear about what we're looking at.
Okay.
And that the violations that were issued, that we're talking about tonight, relate to this lot. Has nothing to do with the building, right?
No, it does not.
All right, thank you.
So this is all the lot right here?
Yes, sir.
What's the size of the lot, ballpark? I see the pictures and everything, but like 500 feet?
What would you say, Mike?
Is it, now that building is not theirs, that's Bowden
That-
Plumbing?
Right, that's Bowden. Where that
Yeah.
timber is?
Yeah.
From the timber on is Bowden.
So it's basically, it literally is a lot, okay.
So the rest of this is his.
2013, that lot was nothing but vegetation, trees, shrubs. It wasn't that clean.
And these are the same vehicles from your memory from 2013, 2019?
Swapped out.
Okay, so there is some kind of movement.
Yeah, I mean, he,
2013, we towed 5 vehicles, and at that point, we got stopped.
I told
Then he
him
would
4.
reload the rest.
So what it appears that he does is he brings vehicles and he just swaps them out. Takes them out, puts them in, takes them out, puts them in. So I'm thinking if he can swap vehicles, he can clean this up and not have any vehicles there. Concrete lot, and he can put his car. And just for the record, sir, showing y'all the junk, trash, and debris was not designed to mislead. Not at all. But typically and historically, that's where I start. And I do exactly what you just saw when I take pictures and when I take video. So it was not designed to mislead anyone.
So let me get some clarification on the photos we were presented. And you can look at these, are all these, none of these photos that we're gonna consider in this case?
Not at this point, sir, because this is attached to the building
Okay,
itself.
all 3 of those.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what about this photo here?
That is where the vehicles are parked.
Okay, so do we have to consider what the?
Yes, sir. It's different because he's pulled that out and put something else there.
Okay,
The bike is still there.
the bike's still there.
Yes, sir.
So basically, what we're seeing is these photos of the vehicles that are parked on this property. I'm trying to get an idea how many vehicles are actually on that property.
Well, at one time, I counted up to, I believe it was 14 vehicles.
14?
The PD cited, I believe those vehicles. So you could go there today and it'd be 14, maybe you go there the next day, it's 11.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to object to this because this testimony again relates to citations that were issued on a different property. They were not issued on the Fitzsimmons lot, right? Those vehicles were not towed from this lot, were they? The ones you were talking, the ones that you were talking about, that are in your impound lot right now?
Our impound lot, we don't.
Or whoever runs the impound lot. Fenders, is that where you keep the cars?
They are there.
Yeah.
Because they were on his property.
On his property, but not this lot.
Yes.
Yes.
I think they were next door.
No.
Well, we'll
The
get to
first
that.
5 vehicles that were towed from that was towed from that lot there.
All of the tow.
At that time, it was not parking on the city.
Okay, I can't deal with both of this at the same time.
So, sir, we have a map here, and maybe, can this help out if it shows exactly?
He's the attorney, he can look at
Okay, and, no, I mean, so can you show us where you're saying these vehicles were? And we'll have the city show us where they towed the vehicles from.
I can give you my understanding.
Okay.
of where the vehicles were, But I thought they were not on the Fitzsimmons lot, but over here somewhere. And where it was exactly, I don't know.
So this is gonna be,
And I'm talking about the cars that are at Fenders right now that have.
They were here.
Yeah,
this is his lot, this is where I had him towed.
Okay,
okay, that's not what I understood. Okay.
so, Barry, real quick, so, and if I don't know if he wants to stay up or not, so this part of it doesn't have nothing to do with it, just,
This is Bowden.
Yeah.
okay,
This
Is a lot.
is Fitzsimmons here.
okay. Thank you. Okay. Are there any questions for the rest of the board to,
If the attorney has any,
well, I was gonna have him come back up, and I thought he was just, you wanna find out if he's got anything to ask the
do
city?
you have anything further for Mr. Shields?
No, I just wanted
And
to
cross.
clarify, my client just clarified for me.
That's fine.
I also, that these current cars were towed from this Fitzsimmons lot. The older set of cars were towed from next door, which I just misunderstood.
It was towed from the same lot.
We'll get his testimony.
Okay, and that's what we'll do next.
I've got another question here. On the lot that we're discussing about, is there any of those barrels that's got the tops on them? Is there any barrels or anything like that where you can't see the material that's inside the barrel that could be a hazard to the community?
I mean, it could be, but if not any vehicle, I'm sorry, any barrels with vehicles.
Guys, again,
Okay,
we're only talking about this lot.
Okay.
okay, all right, okay.
Because I know it can get a little confusing because the location of the property. We're only
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, are we?
So, number one, does the board have any other questions
For Mr. Shields.
No.
for the attorney or
For Mr. Shields.
for Mr. Shields? Okay. Do you have anybody? Okay, now, the attorney has come up, so,
Well, the
He's gonna
attorney
have-
cross-examined Mr. Shields.
right,
Now,
so we're good.
we can move on if you want to go ahead and that's, I mean, I think we'll rest our case then if you want to go ahead and,
Yeah, that's fine. Did you want to call a police officer or?
Yeah, did you want to call him Kunkel?
it's up to you if you want to go first or you want us to have the police officer first. I believe that to your discretion.
I guess the question I also got is, will the appellant be coming and testifying? Because when I swore people in,
He did, we'll get to his testimony.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Officer Kunkel, if you want to come up first.
At the lectern.
Okay.
If you want to state, Captain Kunkel, if you want to state your name and
My name is Paul Kunkel. I'm a captain with the Newport Police Department. I'm the Community Service Division Commander. I deal with blight, parking, community issues that make a quality of life better in Newport.
can you address your interaction with Mr. Acker regarding, again, just this lot, this Fitzsimmons lot? I know you've had dealings with the cars and issues with there. If you could talk a little bit about that. But again, I just want to keep stressing his practices just regarding his lot.
Right, and just so you, for the record, everybody knows, I've known Mr. Ackers, how many years? 30 plus. I've known him since we were young. And, my relationship over the Fitzsimmons area began with the public right of way, but I'm only here for the lot. So what I can tell you about the lot is what I've observed. There are cars in the lot that are inoperable. I want to say a blue Mustang, didn't have an engine in it. Not really, it's a blue car, I believe, it didn't have an engine in it. I know the grass was high, everything you saw in the video, I saw it before it was cut and trimmed. I know at one point in time, it used to be a gravel lot, that's true, but it's now grown over with weeds.
When is the last time you patrolled this area, you had a chance to look?
I do it on a daily basis.
How did it look today? Did it look cleaned up? Did it look, how did it appear to you? Did it not, You said that there was high grass, high weeds, et cetera. Have those been trimmed? You talked about it being trimmed.
It looks at what, like, at one point in time, they were trimmed, and it looks like they, you know, honestly, it looks like the cars have been abandoned there.
How many cars are there currently sitting there on the lot?
7 today.
I didn't count them, but there's 3 rows, I believe,
Okay.
and at least 2 in each one of those rows.
Yeah, right now, it might be about 7, 8 vehicles.
And I know there's a trailer that's in between the trees, the grass has grown up through it, in between, but that is city property. So, which isn't the lot, but, so.
How would you like to? Ask Captain Conway.
Just a couple questions. In particular, it's your observation that there were inoperable cars on this site, is that correct?
Yes, it appears they haven't moved for a long time. They have that like black mold on them and stuff.
And you made this observation from the street?
No, I made it from standing in the right of way back there.
Okay, so you were standing in the street, right?
Well, if you walk back, it's not exactly a street where you see that black pickup truck. When you walk back there into the weeds, yes.
Oh, I see. So you went onto city property beyond the Fitzsimmons lot, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, you never tried to start any of those cars, did you?
No, I was told he was advised if they're operable, bring them to the city building. So.
Did you ever check to see if any of them were registered?
I believe we ran the plates on a few and they were registered to a whole lot of different people.
Does that make any difference in this particular matter where we're talking about cars parked in a lot?
Well, again, I'm with the Newport Police Department and we are responsible for the public right of way. And I've had a good relationship with Mr. Ackerman, though. He's always, I've had to cite him a few times. Last time I had to cite him because he had, am I allowed, this isn't about the lot.
I'm going to object then.
Yeah.
I'm going to object in advance.
Okay. Are you okay?
Yes, I do
Oh,
object.
okay, okay. I know, I'm here to problem solve.
And my question really is, you say that they are inoperable based on observations from a right-of-way, cars you never started, and registrations that you may or may not have run, but if you did run them, they came back and they were registered. Is that about what your testimony is?
No,
All right, tell me how I'm wrong.
one didn't have an engine in it. I don't know how you start that car.
How do you know that?
All you had to do is look at the car through the hood, open, it had no engine in it.
There's a picture of it.
There's
All right,
no engine.
I will get contrary testimony from my client on that. You're talking about the blue Mustang, right? Is that correct?
Yes,
All right. But to go back to my other questions, you may or may not have run the plates. You don't really know if they're registered or not. To the extent you found out if they were registered, you think they probably were. Is that right? That's what you said. I'm just asking you to confirm it.
I'm trying to remember which cars I ran and which I didn't.
I didn't ask you that.
I don't know which
I
ones
just,
had the plate on them and which didn't. But yes, I did run some plates and others I couldn't run, yeah.
you couldn't or didn't?
I can't remember, sir. I don't remember, that was so, we've been working with Mr. Ackerman.
That's not my question. I don't need you to answer questions I didn't ask. My question is simply this. You don't know of any car on that lot that is not registered. Is that correct?
I can't remember.
And you have no firsthand knowledge, other than this missing engine, that any of those cars are in fact inoperable, do you? One moved today, that would be operable, right? It's pretty common sense.
I mean, you can get in a car and push it, make it operable as you start it. You can do it.
But if a car can move, then you consider it operable, is that correct?
It depends if it's roadworthy, it's safe to drive on the road. I mean,
Okay, let me ask you about that. Now, Kentucky registrations, when you get a Kentucky registration, you get the car inspected, right?
Correct.
All right. So those cars that are registered in Kentucky are safe, right?
Well, it depends. My dad builds hot rods, and sometimes he gets cars registered. Doesn't mean they run.
All right, but that's not what I asked. I asked, they said it's safe.
It's about registration.
Well, they were inspected, right?
Yeah, to get a license, to buy a car, you have to get it inspected.
Right. All right. All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Officer Kunkel, I got one question. Did you observe any vehicles that didn't have any plates on it at all? I mean,
I honestly can't remember. It's been so long ago. I can't remember that. I can't remember.
you know, I'm just going by the photographs where, and I blew them up. Yeah, there's, just in the photographs, and Barry, you wouldn't know, was there any vehicles that didn't have any plates on them at all?
There were some.
Okay.
That's the thing, sometimes vehicles that are there, they may have plates. A lot of his plates have historical plates, right? So you don't, those just kind of fall into place and is automatic. But there have been instances where there are cars with expired tags. But they move, it comes and goes. So it may not even be there long, but if you're there the right day, you can catch it.
And the vehicles that I cited for public right-of-way, they all had tags.
Tags, okay.
That's what's concerning.
Is that all the questions for Mr. Humpel and, sorry, Captain Humpel?
Yeah. I don't, any other board members have any questions?
I have one other question here. On the cars that are left there,
Yes,
that
sir.
has plates on them, are they Alistators? Are the plates expired?
If they're historical plates, and they are Kentucky plates, on most of the vehicles currently that we saw. Some of them are Kentucky state tags, and they are current.
Okay.
But there's a history of them not being current, or none at all.
Because in that one picture, I noticed Ohio plates.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
City attorney, did you have, somebody else have another question? Jan, go ahead.
As it was originally stated, this project, this problem started 10 years ago, roughly,
Yes, sir.
correct?
11 years.
Now,
The data we have goes back to August 2nd, 2013. So we're talking 11 years, some days.
now, when I drove by it today, and I was on
Jan,
Newport Street
Mr. Nepshield.
at Simmons,
Mr.
there were
Nepshield.
seven,
Mr. Nepshield.
Jen?
Jan, Mr. Nepshield, we're only listening to testimony today. We're not bringing in any testimony you may have seen or not seen.
I'm sorry?
We're only basing our judgment on testimony brought today before you. We're not talking about anything that you may or may not have seen passing through Newport.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
what are
Is
we
that-
talking about then?
Is that it from Shelton? Then if you'd like to, you don't want to.
Oh, do I want to?
Do you want to call Mr. Acker? Okay.
Sorry, I thought you were asking.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, could you state your name and business address for the record?
Octavian Acre. For the business address, do you want my shop or lot that's in
Whatever.
question?
No, whatever you think is your business address, that's just what you said.
Okay, the business address is 524 West 12th Street.
All right. And we've been talking about a lot on Fitzsimmons
Correct.
Street, I believe.
Correct.
You're familiar with that lot,
I am familiar with that lot.
and you own that lot?
I do own that lot.
Do you recall when you purchased that lot? Let me ask you this, if I told you you purchased that lot in 2010, would that sound about right?
That would sound about right, correct.
Since that time, have you been using this lot as a parking area for vehicles?
Yes.
All right. Tell me about the construction of this lot. How was this lot constructed?
So when I initially bought the lot, it was basically rock foundation and broken pieces of asphalt and recycled milling asphalt with 2 large trees and a lot of brush, honeysuckle, mostly all honeysuckle, which was that whole area when I bought it. The whole area was honeysuckle. So that's how it was when I bought it. I cleared all the honeysuckle off, got it down to basically the asphalt base. At that time, they were redoing, I think, 11th Street, which is on the front of my shop property. And at that time, I could actually purchase the recycled from the plant. And I had like 2 more trucks, like 25-ton trucks, come in and put another whole layer over the whole lot, up until the point where there's like a 6-foot area from where Fitzsimmons is very undefinable. At one time it was a brick alleyway, and now it's all busted up. There's no asphalt on half of Fitzsimmons. It's literally just gravel and sand. So it was kind of hard to tell where to start my lot. There's a telephone pole there. So I just kind of made a 6-foot back. So I would park and start my lot 6 foot back so that there wouldn't be any question. Just like they had mentioned earlier about the question of the city right-of-way, which has always been in question as well. So I just said, I'll just stay far enough back. I basically started it where the neighbor's concrete pad was. That's where.
I only have one copy of these pictures. Can I just mark these and then sort of circulate?
That's fine.
I'm gonna mark this as appellants 1. I have to go to the restroom because of my kidney failure. Is it a problem? And, I apologize to the commissioners. I only have one copy of this. I just got this tonight.
Sir,
I'm gonna have him describe what's on. Oh, sorry.
I need to interrupt you. We have one of our board members that has to use the restroom.
Oh, yeah.
He's got some medical things.
I apologize, it's something I can't control.
Should we hold up until we get
Take a quick little recess.
let's take a little recess. And then- Sorry about that. Huh?
So.
Don't make me
yeah,
stop this car.
one, and I thought, I don't think I printed the other one. So, yeah, it's this one. So this is, this.
It's new, Tiffany.
Here, that area, that's actually this, yeah, so, but yes.
I remember the Board of Adjustment, it takes 5 minutes.
Miss those days.
Miss those days.
This is a street.
On the board, we.
And if you can kind of see right,
Huh?
see, this is all gravel here.
We gotta take the evidence. Huh?
That's like,
We gotta take the evidence.
that's basically where the pavement stops,
Remember, and we still got,
is all that, so.
we did a lot.
John Cannon, that sounds Irish.
A little bit, Sean Patrick.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Well, Cincinnati. I went to Sycamore High School, lived here ever since.
What high school? Sycamore High?
Yeah. I'm still working at a county center with, what used to be Peter Benziger and Bell.
Yep.
Changed that. But yeah, I've always working over here. Well, I was also in my 20s, which is automatically fun.
So we only have one case, correct?
Right.
It's just taking.
Where'd you go to college?
I'm at Dartmouth College up in New Hampshire.
I've heard of it. Pricey, man. Dartmouth's Ivy League, right? Was the original 4?
There's, gosh, I should know something, but there's either 7 or 8.
I grew up in upstate New York,
Yeah, where are you from?
Rochester.
No kidding, so that's where my family's all from.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
Thought you looked familiar.
Yeah, you might know my dad.
Might be related.
Okay. Bring the code enforcement meeting back to order.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to share this with the commissioners. I'm just going to ask my witness a couple questions. You could sort of mark on here sort of a line and then put right-of-way or ROW on one side and then lot on the other. I think that will sort of explain what your view of this street looks like.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of been a sorts of contention.
Well, it's kind of hard to tell.
It is
right?
very hard to tell. Somewhere in there, if you look at the map, it's kind of the line,
And
the
if you
survey
just write
line.
ROW next to that so we know
Right.
which side is which.
And then, so also just to give you an example, I'm just gonna show this because that's approximately the line between the city's right-of-way and where my property starts. So
Okay,
Is that-
and so, to be clear, you've drawn a line from the top of the page to the bottom of the page,
Yep.
which demarcates the
the
road.
road, yep, Fitzsimmons, correct?
And a second line that goes horizontal, which demarcates the city right-of-way from your
Right-of-way to
lot.
my lot, yep,
Okay.
yep. So just put RO here, I assume.
ROW, yeah. It's probably too.
I had a Sharpie.
Do you?
I
There you
did,
go.
no, it's in my work pants.
Okay.
Put this over here. This is a really bad pen for
It
this.
is a bad thing for this.
And then
You don't have to write on that.
property, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
The city in agreement with that? What he's depicting?
I mean, I don't personally have knowledge of whether that is or is not accurate, that's a rough drawing. We could have one of the code enforcement officers.
Yeah.
look at it,
The lot's over
let them
here,
draw
right?
on that. But that would be, you know,
This is the lot, this is the city property next. And I point this out to the commission, that the street itself is rode over with grass, at least as we understand where the right-of-way line is. Because, I mean, what you have here is a public right-of-way that is operating as a street that is actually no longer paved, much like complaining about this lot.
It's an alley.
So now-
That's what it looks like. It's an alley, but it's not run over with grass. I just drove down it today.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's clear,
That's what I was talking about.
So, real quick, this is actually a dedicated street, it's not a paper alley or anything like that? Dedicated street, okay. Okay.
Does the city want to
I
take a
have
look
a
at this
question.
picture?
I mean, the attorney did, we can look there.
Well, they've been going on and on about questions, and I wasn't allowed to finish mine. I don't know what I did. I'll talk to you later about that. But when they finish, I would like to ask a question about where the last 10 years went.
okay. Mr. Aker, I'm just going to have you look at what I'll mark as appellants two. Can you identify what is shown in this picture?
Pretty much that's shown, the railroad tie shows the demarcation of my Fitzsimmons lot. And then to the left of that railroad tie, which I believe somebody mentioned before, is the property line to my neighbor to the left, which is Biden Plumbing.
Okay.
And that's, you can see the, kind of the difference where he had put down gravel in my lots, to the actual asphalt milling.
Okay.
So that's,
And so your
My
lot
color.
is this darker
Yes.
colored lot. that's
Correct.
Asphalt.
yep.
And then next door, what you have is some overgrown weeds and some
Weeds,
gravel. Is
some
that
car
right?
parts.
Well, let me
Yeah.
talk
yeah.
about that.
Okay, sorry.
What is this, a bathtub?
No, I believe, well, I know it is because it actually came off the truck and fell onto one of my cars. And now it fell back into its current position. It's a cap
Cap,
to a
truck
truck,
cap?
yes. And then there,
Just boards? or
behind it, there's a pallet and there's a couple other truck pieces. But yeah, and,
And that's all on your neighbor's property?
correct.
Okay.
At
And
least
then-
my understanding of my property line, which again is the railroad track there.
Okay, and then I see 4 cars in this picture, is that right?
correct.
Okay, now this first car closest to the person taking the photograph, what car is that?
Well, that's my Belvedere, 67, yes. That would have been my
67 Belvedere? Is that registered?
Yes,
In what state?
that's Kentucky.
What's behind it?
That is my 63 Galaxy.
63 Galaxy? Is that registered?
It is registered.
All right. And then coming back out to the front, I've got it looks like an RV.
Yep, that's a 1976 Dodge Coachman RV, yes.
Is that registered?
It is registered.
And then what's behind that?
I don't know the exact year. It's an early 2000s Ford Econoline van.
Is that car registered?
It is registered. Yes.
Can you tell me briefly what you use these vehicles?
So all these vehicles in this picture minus the van, well, I think the van was actually used in one movie production, but these are all what I call movie cars. I provide mechanical service to keep period correct cars running on set for several in-film productions here in the city and in Cincinnati. And a lot of times they'll actually rent out my period correct 60s and 70s cars to be in the movie moving and or to just be stationary. A lot of times the RV is used for what they call blocking. If they have a big sound set or a big lighting set, but it's gonna be in the shot, they need something that's period correct to just put there to block all that out so that the filming can happen and they don't have to move all that rigging. That's where my RV comes in a lot. It's, yeah, so that's what they're mostly used for. And then, yeah.
Yeah, and as I understand it, you drove this 63 Galaxy to this hearing, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah, yes.
So it works,
Yeah, hey,
it's safe,
correct,
it's insured,
correct,
and it's registered.
and, yep, correct.
When you're identifying these pictures, are these pictures that we have copies of too?
Now, this is my
This is your own personal copy,
I can
gotcha.
make copies of this?
No,
or
no.
you just leave it?
Uh,
Yeah, because
We were sort of moving,
Um,
just getting ready for this, so I didn't have multiple copies.
And you were talking about some of these vehicles are used for movie sets, stuff like that. What type of proof do you have, or what contract do you have to say that they're used for that?
I got an exhibit that I think will help.
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
maybe I'm speaking to innovate.
That's all right, I would have the same questions as like you were saying, but how do I know that's true?
I don't really know it's pertaining.
I'll mark it as appellants 3. This one I do happen to have multiple copies of.
That's what I just asked you. And that's what everybody's.
Okay, I'm gonna hand you this.
Yes.
Can you tell me what this document is? I marked it appellants 3.
This document is a letter from Mike Wood, the gentleman I work with on the movies. He's what's called a movie car producer. He's basically responsible for procuring all the cars for the particular movies, staging all the cars in every set for the movie, and then making sure that the cars are safe and operable throughout the shooting of the movie.
So a producer or a director, whoever's in charge of the movie, would hire,
Yes, hire
This
Mike
person.
for, yep,
and then he uses you as a source for vehicles in this area, is that correct?
that's correct.
And how long have you worked with him?
I would say 3 to 5 years.
And just to clarify, in this letter, he references an address of 524 West 12th Street, Newport. He does not reference Simmons Street lot. Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, because that's my only mail, there is no mailing address on Fitzsimmons. It's literally where I am able to keep my movie cars, and 524 West 12th is the actual mailing list or the mailing slot on the front of my shop.
So that's the business address you gave us earlier?
Correct, that is the business address I gave you. Correct.
We got it up here.
Yeah, we got
That one I happen to have several copies of.
Marcus is done with that.
I gave it to him.
Attorney Stoddard, I think he's through with that.
Okay.
Yeah. You can pass it down this way. Thanks.
All right.
I got a couple of questions about this.
Yep,
Um,
fire away.
First of all, it lists you, as Auto House Imports. Is that a business registered in Newport, or?
I'm not sure if Auto House is my DBA or Perfect Speed is the registered. One of the two is. One's a DBA and one's the registered.
And they list the address as 524 West 12th Street, so that's actually your business office?
That's the large building.
Okay. Okay, so these vehicles are located on a lot,
That's correct.
okay. And I'm just wondering why he identified it as that
Because
building.
again, that's my mailing list. That's
That's your
where
mailing
I
address?
mailed it.
Okay,
So that's the only address he has on file for me.
okay.
All the movies have to pay everything through set and through payroll. Nothing comes from, so it all,
So how many of these vehicles do you actually use in this business that's on this lot right now?
oh, I've used all of those minus my work truck, which is there. I've used all of them minus my work truck. I used the Mustang that they towed last fall. I used the '78 Mercedes-Benz that they towed last fall. Again, the only one I can't remember for sure, and I think it was actually used, was the early 2000s white van, because white vans are needed for tons of movies, cargo vans and white vans.
Let me ask you this question, okay. These vehicles aren't registered to your business, or they're not registered to you, but you use these vehicles in your business. I'm a little bit confused with
For
that.
my personal cars, the movie companies pay me personally for the cars. It's about $250 a day per car,
Right.
and they pay me directly. It has nothing to do with my business.
Okay,
And
well,
my lot
but,
has nothing to do with my
but the
business.
city has testified that some of these vehicles are registered to other people. Are none of these vehicles registered to other people? Who are they registered to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Two of them are registered to other vehicles.
Other people.
Three, sorry. The RV is registered to my partner, who's a Mercedes-Benz that was towed in the fall, was actually registered to as well. The white van is registered to, he was my old neighbor there at the shop.
Okay.
And then the Galaxy is actually still registered, currently registered to the previous owner, and the tag and the registration match the vehicle. And I have it insured. That was one of the last ones I got for the movie cars, and he wasn't 100% sure if he wanted to get rid of it or if he just wanted it to be in movies. So but it's a North Carolina titled and registered, and that's a lifetime registration, just like Kentucky has now moved their historicals, I believe, to a lifetime registration.
Just to be clear, I think that's a Tennessee registration.
That's right. I'm sorry, it is.
If we ever got to this point, after 10 years, we may someday, but IRS, you'd had your records of where you rented these cars to those car companies. Am I right? Correct? That should be part of your income, therefore it should be part of your tax return.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to object to the question. It's a little bit outside the scope of what we're here to discuss, in my opinion.
Hey, Octavian, you said you have a shop there? Is that like, that's not,
The shop is
His
the
business.
524 West 12.
and that's adjacent than the lot? I know we're just talking about the lot, but may I ask what kind of business you have over there? Is it an automotive shop?
Again, is it?
Yeah, we'll just,
I'm just trying to understand, is this an extension of that?
For many years, it served that, but then,
But we don't want to talk about what that is?
If you want
yeah,
to object,
yeah,
I mean, that's you,
this is, it's a little awkward because, but, yeah, this is.
again, he brought up shop, I just was trying to, is this a, yeah,
Because, let me ask you this, is there a mailbox on the lot?
No.
So,
and there's no address for the lot?
No.
There's no specific
They're-
address?
Yeah, they even have a hard time when they do the, when they,
I'm with you. I'm
They
just-
can't-
He
they
brought up
can't even
shop, and I'm just
post.
wondering, is this part of this shop, or?
it's where he gets his mail. It's his business address, which was like the first question I asked him, what's your business address?
Yeah.
And that's what he's, so this is where he gets mail. Billy, I'm going to ask you if you would mind if I just did this as a group, because it's all showing basically the same thing, which is conditions on different locations around the Simmons lot. I just want to keep moving this along, so I'm going to do it as a group.
Let me intercede here. You do understand, we're one of the board members, why he was going where he was going with that question, because you gave us a piece of paper that we don't know who signed it or where it came from, so there's nothing notarized and nothing legal to that piece of paper, and that's where he was bringing up do you have any other evidence you're gonna present that's gonna show that he does business with these, film companies?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I understand the concern. We got what we could get together with
Okay.
the days that we had here available to us. Could we have gotten more? Perhaps, yeah, but we don't have it to present. so-
So it kind of leaves the board in a position that we got to make that, accept that as evidence that you're presenting, but it's really questionable if you don't have any other evidence.
Yes, it's just testimony and a document from a third party, I understand that.
All right.
That's what we have available to us within the timelines of the hearing.
All right, thanks.
Do you, at the present time, do you have a license to, I assume that you rent the vehicles out for studios or, okay, you have a license in order to rent, to have a business in
no,
the city?
it's all just 1099. That's how every movie's done it, for me anyway. Mike literally just does me a subcontractor.
Yeah,
It's
and I
same
would
as the,
encourage-
same as the
I would-
mechanical work.
I would encourage the commissioners to remember that what we're here about are very discrete.
I do want to follow up on that. You did say that you're using these for a business. So the question about a business, whether you're operating a business with these cars, are perfectly fair. If you did
Right,
bring
I
up
didn't-
That these cars are being used for a business.
I didn't ever say that these cars were being used for my car business.
No,
They're
you're
being
using them,
used
you're
as
renting
me,
them out
I rent them
for-
out 2 cars, or 2 movie production teams. Yes,
Okay, so
personally.
That's
It's-
a business. And you said it's a 1099.
Right.
Okay, but that would still require a business license in the city, would it not?
I'm going to object to that. I mean, that's a separate, if you want to make a separate inquiry about this, we're here about some code violations.
You did bring it up in your testimony, that that's one of the reasons you can't have these cars on your lot or not, but they're off, we'll not, we can get to that in a second. You're using this historical placeholders, et cetera. for-
This isn't a discovery deposition for some kind of future proceeding based on something else entirely.
You did bring up that they were being used in the course of business.
But-
Right.
But what you're asking is completely off.
I'm just clarifying your statement that they're being used in the course of business.
Well, currently, I'm using it to drive here to this meeting. So I
But
mean,
you
they're
said
my
that you
vehicles.
think
They're my vehicles. And there have been times where movies have needed my vehicles and they rent it, they just pay me per day to drive there with my car. And I drive around in circles and they film it. It's never a business, they've never required a business license. It's just literally extras, and they hire them all the time. Every extra that's in a movie, I mean, we just filmed 3 movies here in the last 2 years. There were over 200 extras. Now, my last company, or the last one we worked on, okay, sorry.
I've marked a
Yes.
group of photographs as exhibit. Exhibit 5, I think we're on, are we? 5?
4, the next one,
Four.
4.
Yeah. Are these all the exhibits? Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, I got those minutes on that. Does anybody else want to, I'll zip this together. We're waiting on them to proceed.
Can I just ask a question while we're
Yeah.
parking stuff? On the day of the citation, is it your testimony that every car on the Fitzsimmons lot was registered and operable?
I believe so. I don't know the exact date. There was, like, I said, one of the older Dodges, it was actually an out-of-state Georgia title, and so Frankfurt had a difficult time with that one. I had to get it inspected and then re-inspected because Georgia doesn't issue titles.
Bring proof of registration with you today?
Yeah. I'm just saying, I don't think that one was technically registered when the initial citation was, but it was completely operable, and it was in my name. But Frankfurt took almost like a month, literally.
It says inoperable or unlicensed, so it doesn't have to be both. So if it's not licensed or registered, it could be a violation of the statute or this ordinance.
Right, like I said, I don't know the dates. I know when, I don't have that here. I brought literally just the registration and insurance. And I'm not sure exactly when it was registered, so. that's-
Well, let's see.
Would have been the.
Which one are we talking
Would have
about?
been the 67. Yes. That's the Mustang.
Oh, while we're looking here, why don't you tell me about this Mustang and the motor?
Oh, yeah, so that blue Mustang that they alluded to earlier with no motor did have a motor. It was complete minus the glass in the car, which is why it had a custom car cover on it. It ran, it drove, and that was not my vehicle. That was my neighbor's vehicle at the shop. He asked me if he could park it there while he was an old glass guy. He was working on the glass, getting the glass in. It ran, he just wanted to get it back on the street. I know it was registered. They did release that car to him, and he paid the tow fee. But that car did have a motor, it did run, it was complete, minus a couple glass pieces.
So that's the car that you had mentioned about that,
Mustang,
yeah, the owner did come out.
that would have been.
Yeah, that's that one.
Okay.
Uncle.
Date of issue 8/12.
Right, yeah. And that's the one they had to call me and
Yeah.
come back in when they got it back from Frankfurt, because there was no title.
All right, so I've just showed you a certificate of registration related to that 1967 Plymouth that you were talking about.
Correct.
And when was this registration issued?
Looks like 8/12,
8/12 what year?
2024.
All
this
right.
year.
So in 2023, when the citation's issued, this car, in all likelihood, is either registered in Georgia or not registered at the time, is that right?
Correct. You mean when?
But,
Yes.
but that was a temporary situation that as of now, as of today, before the commission has been, is that right?
Right, and,
It's all I need from you.
yes, okay.
All right. Okay, I've, again, marked this as a group. It's Appellant's Exhibit 4, and then I've individually marked them as A, B, C, et cetera. And very briefly, can you tell me what 4A shows?
4A is just a current example of the condition of Fitzsimmons all along the actual paved part of Fitzsimmons.
All right. And this is going away from the city right away on the other side of your lot, right?
That's
It's
correct. That's going
out.
back out
Right.
towards the city, towards Poplar, whatever
Now,
that road is.
now what's shown on the left of this picture, all that overgrown grass, et cetera.
Grass,
and-
steel,
Yeah.
pallets.
That's
yeah.
not your property, is that
That
correct?
is not my lot, and that is not my property, that's correct.
Can you tell me briefly what's in 4B?
Yeah, this is literally a half a block down from my lot on the main drag, right across from.
What
the-
street?
It's-
Is it 12?
No, it's the vertical that,
To Brighton.
Brighton?
Brighton, yes, this is literally right across the street from the new Brighton
Okay,
Center.
and what's this showing?
Dismantled cars, more truck caps, car parts in the open. None of those registered. None of them appear operable, but I can't make that. They don't seem complete.
4C?
Yes. This is the, again, these are just within one block of my shop.
This is on Brighton too?
This is on Brighton as well. This is actually the Brighton Center right here. This is just a pile of, I don't know what they are, I'm sure you could, but it's just
Junk.
junk, yes.
4D?
Same lot, just showing gravel, weeds, non-registered cars, 3 pictures of all non-registered.
We're talking about neighboring lots. I mean, again, we kind of put the thought on talking about his property
Right.
across the way, the 524. So now it sounds like we're kind of going outside that scope, talking about other lots as well.
I understand that concern, but what I would say is that what we're talking about is citations for allegedly unlicensed and unoperable cars that are parked on something other than concrete lots with some scattered.
But let me interrupt. Do you know if any citations are brought against those
No
properties?
idea.
Okay, and so you're presenting something that you don't have facts to as, because your client has citations brought against them, but you're not sure if those properties that you're presenting to us have had citations brought against them.
Oh, I'm not, no, and I'm not suggesting anything except that these conditions exist and they
Right.
are very, very similar, if not identical, to the situation existing on my client's property.
Okay,
He may have cited all of them, but I
They're
think
all still
you'll
there.
know whether or not you've done that.
Not this board.
They gave a citation. This is for appeal. It's only if you appeal the citation.
Right.
that it gets pulled. So that's not necessarily the case.
or if we're working with the property owners to abate the situation, it's still being processed. So those pictures they're providing there haven't,
Let me just ask one question.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you to look at what's marked Exhibit 4G. What does this show?
That shows a truck that is badly damaged. I would, from my professional opinion, would say totaled, but I
Again,
can
I
guarantee,
object. I don't know how this is relevant at all to.
Well, how long has it been there?
over a year, I have photographic pictures of it sitting there since I was originally cited back in the
But
fall.
again, to be fair, that's not this lot. You know, we talked about that in the past, we talked about the 524, it's not this
Right.
lot. So unless you're going to go with this lot, I'm not sure how they're relevant. And again, unless you're willing to testify that you know as a fact they have or have not been cited or something.
I talked to the owner 2 weeks ago, and he said he hasn't been cited in over 2 years, so I can go on record to say that.
yeah, but
'Cause I
we can't
specific-
accept that. That's hearsay.
Here to testify.
I did not.
All right, we don't know that. We can't test.
Okay, as long as that's record.
All right. Let me just check my notes here real quick.
So you're not submitting that stuff
No,
as
no.
evidence?
I have a couple of questions, I don't want to interrupt if you're still presenting.
One thing, Billy, I'd like to sort of work this out with you. I just got copies of the registrations when we got here today. I would like to make copies before I submit them as evidence. I don't. Sure. Or I can leave them with you and come back with more copies.
I'll make copies.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get them all together and make.
Or, you're gonna make copies for the board or just make one copy? Yeah, you don't have to, just make a couple for us up here to distribute amongst
So, Billy,
yourselves.
if you want to proceed with your questions while I get this together, that's fine.
There's a copy right here.
Hey, Billy, if you want to proceed while I'm getting this stuff together, that's fine. Here, let's switch, so it's easier, so you can talk to him, not me.
Okay, sure.
So the lot itself, you recognize is not paved.
It is covered in asphalt, so I don't know what your definition of paved is, but it is asphalt.
It's not, but it's overgrown.
No,
It's not overgrown.
no, mine is not overgrown.
If your testimony-
All around it is overgrown, which I brought pictures of.
Okay, so I just want to make sure your testimony, just so we're clear, your testimony is, yes or no, your testimony is that paved is not overgrown.
Correct.
Okay. The next thing we have to talk a little about this, so we'll go back into it.
And again, I will correct you, I said it is asphalt. I do not know the particular term or definition that you're using for paved, but it is asphalt.
Okay, so your testimony today is that it's asphalt and not overgrown.
Correct.
That is correct, Steve.
That is correct.
Thank you. Regarding, North Delta Business Park,
it was like, I think I answered that before. When I bought it, asphalt was there. There was also a large concrete foundation over the whole thing.
And you said circa 2010, exactly. circa
Yes,
2010.
yes. So that was there. I literally, and it was just overgrown with wild honeysuckle, just as like the city right away to the right of me currently is.
Okay.
I literally just had them come in and clear that brush.
Okay.
And then I had the city actually, whoever was doing the paving for the city, put more of that asphalt down then, when I, so it was there. I made it thicker, just because, like, my RV weighs a lot. And I have a picture of that to where it doesn't sink into it, because, yeah.
My next question, you're aware of an agreement that we have reached with your, I'm gonna say former attorney, but your first attorney was Tiffany.
She's still my attorney.
Correct,
The
she's on
city,
maternity.
she's on maternity leave, and the city refused to extend it, so Sean had to.
And so, but you are aware of the agreement that we had originally reached back on April 4th of 2024 with Ms. Trinity Couch, correct?
I'm not, I don't know specifically, but if you want to read it, I can tell you if I am.
Okay, I'll just read a couple excerpts and you tell me if this.
Yep.
Following with Mr. Acker shall clear all debris and excess growth of weeds or grass from this lot. Do you recall that agreement?
I do, I recall discussing that agreement. I couldn't say the specific date. I read it, Emily had received it, or we discussed it, but I do definitely remember discussing
Has
that.
that been done yet?
Yes, that has
Okay,
absolutely.
The city, so you're saying the city's testimony that it has not been is
It's
incorrect?
completely incorrect.
Okay. The other one, so it says all debris, kind of similar, clear all debris and excess growth of weeds from the back of the property, the back of the lot. So again, kind of around there, same stance as before.
Same answer.
You agreed to it, but it has not, but it, I'm sorry, it has been accomplished.
Has been
The city's
accomplished.
testimony that it is not,
That is correct.
That
Now,
is your.
that is my testimony. I will only add to that, that there's also some type of, not necessarily disagreement, but it's just as it's unclear to where the city right-of-way ends to the right of my property, it is also unclear where the railroad owns the back of my property.
Okay.
And I will tell you right now, that railroad, which I complained for, is literally homeless camp. And it is literally littered constantly. Now, I have tried to clean it, but a lot of it is disgusting, and it's, so, mine, where I believe mine is,
I don't want
it's
to
clear.
get into
Yeah.
the neighboring property, but
I'm just, right, I'm just saying, I'm trying to answer as clear as I can. Where I believe my property is responsible to is 100% been cleared.
you said 100% included.
Yes.
We've been over most of, they asked a lot of the questions I was gonna ask, so I won't go over them about the testimony. Really, that's all my questions. So that- Record.
Could I get clarification from Barry? Okay, this gentleman's saying, the appellant's saying that his property's been cleared of all this debris and everything. Has anything been done? Every time that you've gone down there, have you seen any improvements at all?
Well, currently, currently,
Okay,
but when the citation was written, June, it was not about high grass or weeds, it was about junk, trash, and debris.
okay,
All the vehicles parked. He should cut his grass.
right.
So, the thing is this, we're talking 11 years. It doesn't take 11 years to work.
Can you testify that the cars that you see here now that you put tags on were there 11 years ago? Can you testify to that? Because that's what you keep claiming.
I
go through these?
cannot.
Let me ask one more question. I'm just cutting out. Let me ask one more question. Again, Joseph Stegel.
Sure.
Your testimony states that all of the vehicles on there are operable. That's your testimony.
100%. Operable,
Taking the word that it is.
registered, owned, insured, as were the ones that were towed in the fall while those were under appeal. Those were also operable.
these are all the same?
Registered
All right.
and
we all got a
insured.
copy.
Okay, my next,
And my partner still hasn't got her car back.
but that's a different issue. We talk about it on the letter to get it. But that's a different issue. Did you want to say something about this?
Oh, about the registration? Yeah, I got one point of clarification if I can.
By all means.
Now, you found registrations for all of the cars on your lot with the exception of RV, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, now, I'm going to mark this as sort of messed up on 4, so I think 4 is still open. I'm going to hand you what I've just marked as Appellant's Exhibit 4. Can you tell me what this is?
Yeah, that's the front windshield of the 76 Dodge RV.
And that's
that-
that's an Ohio plate,
That
is
is
that
an
correct?
Ohio historical tag. Like I said, it is, we have the title. It is titled to my partner, Michelle Conroy. And that tag, if you run it, will come back to Michelle Conroy, 76, and it is insured. And it is operable. I drove it today as well.
All right. In the absence of the actual registration, I'd like to submit the plate to the board, showing that it is.
Right. Thank you. Pass it your way before we get.
This is
Um,
right of way in question.
Yeah.
The city,
I have a question for the city, okay?
because they keep bringing.
He's
up-
this Peeler has testified that the property he's got asphalt on it. What's the difference between asphalt and asphalt concrete?
Concrete and asphalt is asphalt. They all fall under.
Well, in our code, it lists asphalt concrete or concrete. So what,
Asphalt concrete would be asphalt. They all fall under pavement.
okay,
Yes, sir.
But if it's overgrown, it's no longer considered paved.
Can't see it. You
Yeah.
wouldn't know. I got more questions. Go ahead.
I just want to, this is, mark this as 5. I do have additional copies of this. So I'm going to hand you what I've marked as Appellant's Exhibit 5. You see this picture?
Yes, sorry.
What does that show?
That's the asphalt surface on the Fitzsimmons lot in question.
So this is typical.
Is this what you're looking at? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is typical of what that lot looks like.
Yes.
And then there's some grass and some growing up here and there, but.
Right, some of it's being cut beside it, and then some of it's just the little pieces, yeah. That's correct.
Yeah, we got it.
got it. Okay. Somebody on the same page, or was this packet?
All right. And then I will show you, I'll mark as Appellant's Exhibit 6. I got several copies of this too, Billy. Can you
Are we
tell me?
reviewing this exhibit as evidence that it's paved?
Yes.
Is that his property or is that?
That's, I have a picture of my truck too, it's just
Well,
not as good.
It's his property.
Yes,
It's
my
his
property.
I mean,
That's the Fitzsimmons lot.
you're right.
Okay.
All right, I'm showing you what I marked as
It's gravel
Appellant's
then.
6. What is, do you identify what that picture shows?
think you need to
Yes,
have
that is
what-
that is the rear dually wheel of the 76 RV. Just showing, again, the asphalt, and this was showing before I had moved it. It had been, it was sitting there and it wasn't sunk in. There's enough asphalt there to support the weight of that thing.
And when did you take this photograph?
That was today? Yes, today.
And before today, when was the last time you moved this truck?
The last time I moved that truck, I believe, was in a movie in the fall, which was up in Hamilton, up at the fairgrounds.
All right. Now, this shows the asphalt lot on the Fitzsimmons lot, is that correct?
That's correct, yes. Yep.
So I would just encourage commissioners to consider that not asphalt in the sense of like an asphalt parking lot, like what we would see at a shopping center. And it's certainly not concrete, but based on having an RV on it for an extended period of time, it seems to perform equally as well as a typical paved lot. And I would also point out that the code requires paving, or I'm sorry, asphalt, this is asphalt, concrete, or concrete lots with respect to new lots. And this lot has been in existence since, at least per his testimony, 2010, when he bought the property and started using it that way. So it's not a new lot. I'm not sure that that code provision even applies to this application.
Is your testimony that the pictures you're showing us display asphalt?
Yes.
Well, it's
The rocks and the,
crushed asphalt. It's not asphalt like asphalt pavement, like what you'd see. It's not like on the street.
but the code says it has to be paved or cement.
For new lots. Any new,
And I believe it just calls for asphalt.
it doesn't, it's asphalt, concrete, or concrete.
Right.
Is what it calls for. With respect to new parking lots,
And you're suggesting that picture shows,
that's crushed asphalt. I'm not suggesting that that construction standard complies with the code. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is the code doesn't apply to this lot because it's not a new lot, number one. And number two, it is not a great stretch to allow this kind of construction standard because it performs, as demonstrated by the large RV sitting on it for a period of almost a year.
may I ask your client a question directly?
Absolutely.
Yes or no? Would you say that your lot is overgrown with grass?
No.
No, so the pictures that we see of grass, that's, again, let's not even look at that. I've quit
It's
looking
up
at
there.
it. I've quit looking at it because I know that's not your lot. But I've seen pictures, and there's pictures that you even drew on.
That's not my lot. I clearly
This
showed.
is your lot here.
No, it's not.
No.
So when Paul Kumple earlier testified.
You said that's the right of way there, and then your lot
This
is,
is the street.
yeah,
There's a line here.
yeah.
This is the right of way. This is questionable, but the city in the fall, I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
I had a vehicle parked here because I was told by the previous city management that I could park here.
Is this your car or one of your cars?
That's my car. I
Okay,
have not-
then I shouldn't have showed you this. Then I thought this was your lot.
No, this is not my lot. This is the
Because we did look at pictures, and it looked like it was covered with grass, but you're saying it's not.
That's correct, it is not. The only part, which I testified to earlier, the only part that is, again, this is Fitzsimmons Street, all this is Fitzsimmons Street.
Gotcha.
All this grass, all this grass, all this gravel and dirt.
Is city.
That's Fitzsimmons Street.
I was confused. I thought this was your
No,
lot.
this is, I.
Questionable what it
I
is.
believe that that is my lot.
Okay.
The city has in the past, both the sitting police chief and the city manager said that I could use that
Okay.
customer, but I have no longer, I don't use it. I'm not claiming it is now. We are at some point
But
gonna have a
you-
surveyor come. but
You
this
don't
is
see
not the
this as
lot
being
question.
grass?
This is not my lot.
Okay.
I do see that as grass,
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
I also, which I don't know if you want to see it, but this is the same lot. Just shooting from here, which Paul said earlier was the right-of-way area that he observed. the
This isn't
vehicle.
your lot?
This is not
Okay.
my lot. This
Okay.
is the city's lot.
Gotcha.
I'm somewhat
Go ahead,
confused.
wait a minute. Let our attorney, then Jan, you can.
If I, for example, drive each and every one of them here today, you would be able to do so.
Yeah.
But operate,
I almost drove the RV today. It was a little hot.
but each one sitting on there, you would be able to get in there, start getting, drive it on down to the city.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I may have to, like the RV, I had to put a battery in today because you can't keep batteries in old cars for more than a month. So I keep them on a trickle charger at my farm. So I may have to put a battery in it, but other than that, yeah.
And those are
I keep
considered hazard waste.
non-ethanol, specifically non-ethanol gas in them, so that the gas stays good. It doesn't turn like ethanol, it doesn't become toxic like ethanol does. It costs twice as much, but I can, like the Galaxy. I literally drove them all in the last 2 days.
And I have one last question, and then, I mean, I'll make sure, does anyone else have any questions?
Jan has a question, I have a question.
Yeah, and I have one too.
He has a question.
Mr. Asher, you were waiting quite a long time.
I would like to know where we are at this point. Are we discussing this issue totally? Or are we discussing what he didn't meet his responsibilities on 10 years ago when he apparently was found in violation?
We're talking about.
Or are we talking about a combination thereof? Because all we're doing is going around in a circle here. And it's a circle that has no end. I mean, at 10 years, how many man-hours have been tied up in this? How many office workers' hours have been tied up in this? And we've all been sitting here tonight going on 2 hours of our own time, and we know he's not gonna pay this fine. In order to, the only way we should fine again is if the first is paid. So if the first is paid, and we get what we're owed there, then let's start the very.
We gotta talk about this.
Wait a minute. Let's start the very next day with the time that he's allotted to get this. That's the only way we're gonna get any place. As one other thing, and I'll shut up. As far as concrete and blacktop, difference is day and night. Blacktop's put down at about 1,000 degrees. Concrete's put down wet, or they can put an additive into it, and they call it a hot mix, where it dries thicker. You can't take concrete and blacktop, mix the two together, and put it down in a surface unless it's been crushed up, ground up, and then put down as something like gravel. That's it. We're going around circles here.
Yeah, we're gonna continue to take whatever evidence, whatever question we can ask, and then we're gonna deliberate on it, Jan. And at that point there,
My question is, why don't we deliberate on the first 10 years? First.
Let's just take a little more time. Does anyone have any more questions?
right, well, that's all I was trying to say.
Yeah,
Because, okay, so you wanna ask questions, then I'll.
Yeah, I'd like to ask one more here. When you took this property over, okay, was it concrete, or it had to be one or the other? Or was it both?
It was both. There was a
both.
large concrete foundation that was basically, it had been knocked down on itself and crushed. And then over top of that was the asphalt, the recycled asphalt. And then what I put over it, at the time, there was no such thing as recycled concrete. Now it is, but at the time, there wasn't. So when they were repaving 11th, I put more recycled asphalt.
That's where I was kind of getting
It is both.
confused at. But that lot itself that we're talking about, nothing to do with this other one and all that good stuff.
Right.
That's nothing to do with this case.
Correct.
On that particular property, okay, itself, is that your business property?
No.
For these automobiles?
No. No, that's my personal lot.
Okay, so if it's not a business, if it's not for those particular automobiles, would they be considered junk? If it's not a business, you said you rented them out, what is it? I mean, I'm not
It's
fully
my
understanding
private
what the
property.
business actually is.
My private vehicles on it. That's
Okay.
what it
All
is.
right, private vehicles, there is code enforcement on that, not in our particular area, but I know, if you've got something on there, and if it's not made for that particular
What
purpose.
citation are you commenting on? What
you know,
citation
I'm
are you?
referring to, what you said, you rented them out, and they're talking about the vehicles. Don't the property have to be kept up?
I think his testimony is that he has kept the property up, at least in his view, that it's not overgrown, that the lot is constructed from crushed asphalt. It has been that way for some time, since the day he bought it. Now, at the time he bought it, it was also overgrown, as you point out. It was some combination of both. But, once he cleared it, it was suitable for parking these vehicles on. It's not a new lot. We're not talking about, concreting it over because it's not a new application. The use has existed for years.
Well, all I can say is, in this particular case, you see a lot of people getting cited for high grass, broken concrete, crushed concrete and stuff, things that throughout the city, I'm sure of this. I happen to know of a few personally, but that doesn't have nothing to do with this place. But at the same time, we all have to keep our properties up that live in, talking about the citizens of Newport, we have to keep our properties up. And if they're being in violation of something, then it's the property's owner's responsibility to replace it. Ever who the property owner is, whether it be me or anyone else. And I don't see what all the havoc is about this, because if it's a enforcement issue, or the property's not being maintained as it's supposed to, then that's a completely different ballgame there, because that's in violation of everything that I understand with as far as,
Oh, that's a part of our deliberation. Do you have any more questions?
I'm just saying,
Well,
you know,
what-
I'm just.
the-
Do we have any more questions?
Yes, I want to add something to this, okay? And we're talking about the asphalt concrete, okay? And what I'm looking at is the code. You're correct, it says new off-street parking area, okay? Want to ask the city, if we cited this individual at this time for that violation, then why didn't we bring charges against them on the previous violations for that? Because it would have been the same, surface out there, okay? But we didn't bring those charges on 2013 and 2019. And I just want to throw that out there for the board to realize that the code does say that it's new off-street parking, and if the attorney wants to address that, he could, or you can address that, Barry. I know you can't go back and find out why those code enforcement people didn't cite him for that, but now we're citing him for it, and we haven't cited him in the past for it. And he's been on that property for
11 years.
11 years.
Yes, sir, I can't speak for why the other officers did not. But the bottom line is this: if I was to see this concrete, this asphalt on another property, I would cite it. Because this is in ill repair. And it doesn't take anything to find a patch that looks good. There are pictures right here that show that it's been overrun with grass and weeds at a time. As Mr. Nepshaw said, we're running around in circles for what? The bottom line is, he has not worked with the city, he has not done what we've asked him to do, and hasn't been reasonable in trying to work with us. Because he says that his vehicles are all operational, do we really know that? He's operating in the city of Newport without an occupational license, that it's his business, when he says it's not his business, right? It's his personal property on his personal property, being the vehicles on his personal property, right? But he rents those vehicles out. He does not have an occupational license to act as a business in the city of Newport, according to him. The bottom line is, it don't take much to do this. If all the vehicles run, which I've asked, drive them to the city. I don't care that it was too hot to drive that motor bus, or whatever that is, drive it. Because the burden falls on them.
Right, but if the concern with the city is that, see if these vehicles are running, then why, I don't know if it'd be legal for a city employee to go down there and the gentleman starts the vehicles up and show the city that they're running.
Well, sir, a vehicle can start, doesn't mean that it runs.
Well, then you would have to have some guidelines what you determine to start, to move it in and, I mean, but, you know, I'm looking at the citations, okay? You had said that, you know, we're talking about weeds, and this citation that we're going over today doesn't have to deal with weeds. You're talking about tomorrow that you're probably gonna cite them when you go on that property if the weeds are there. So we're not looking at a citation for weeds right now.
No, we're not at the moment.
Okay,
Whatever
so-
inspection is there, he is cited for.
So,
Do we have any more questions or any more testimony that you or do you have anything else you want to add? I know we're getting close to 2 hours.
Right.
Obviously, I don't want to cut off. If you've got anything else you want to add, do any of these questions? Otherwise, we can go into deliberations, as long as no one objects to that. That's okay.
I have a question. So you had an agreement in place with his previous attorney to extensively do what? What was the actions that were agreed
Moving
upon?
inoperable or unregistered vehicles to clean up the property. And he hasn't done that.
And how would you define clean up? Just so we're all on the same page, we're not chasing our
Moving the vehicles
tails.
that are inoperable or unregistered. You
And
can
as far as-
register a vehicle, that doesn't mean it runs.
Are you asking him to pave it? Are you asking him to
I
put
think
cement down?
ultimately that was gonna be the
Today's
intent.
zoning would not allow that lot to be paved, not contiguous building that he owns.
Okay, so this is kind of grandfathered in at this point, for lack of a better description.
about that.
Yeah. Okay, but your testimony is that's not paved or cement or asphalt, it's gravel.
I would say it's broken asphalt. And this, if I saw this anywhere, I would cite it. Because it's just like going to a property that has the walkway, cement is cracked or it's broken.
But can we enforce that on a existing lot? The attorney said it's for new lots that, or they'd be cited. If there's a new lot, that you would cite it there, but can you go to an existing lot and say, hey, this isn't up to standard? I'm trying to understand that.
Yeah, we have code, you can certainly go to an existing lot. Now, that would be part of the debate as to whether this was grandfathered in or no, whether it was or was not. That was why we took some testimony as to whether it was or was not in 2010. That would all be, kind of determination really for you guys to make, certainly something that they can contest, et cetera.
And again, my other question is, if this was adjacent to a building and it was a part of a business, you would cite this individual and say this needs to be properly paved or or whatever the thing, this would not stand. Okay. That helps me a little bit.
Are we ready to deliberate?
We ready to deliberate?
Is there,
Again, I just want to ask you guys, don't have anything else you want to add? Do that. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready to deliberate. The rest of the board ready?
Let's do it.
to deliberate? Okay.
we appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate, I apologize for the 2 hours of your life.
It's all-
Appreciate your.
All part of it.
I hear you. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Well, we deliberate right here.
Specifically. Can I go to the bathroom? Yeah, go for
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna adjourn for why he goes to the restroom again before we deliberate.
I'm sorry, guys.
I don't wanna deliberate why he's not here. Board of Adjustment meeting back to order. The board is in the process of deliberating this case. Whatever you guys, how do you want to approach it, and who wants to provide whatever you
Let's
want to
just,
provide?
for me, because as Jan
Right.
said so eloquently, we're kind of chasing our tail, we're, going over and over and
Right.
over. We specifically are assigned to, what's the yes or no that we want to go forward on? That it is, he did not, the request of the sightings, yes or no?
Yeah, there's
Three site
things,
Three
go one by
sites.
one.
Right,
Yeah, let's do it.
okay.
Just kind of do the first
So
one.
you want me to read the first one out?
Yeah.
Okay, the first one, PM 302.1, sanitation. All exterior property and premises shall be maintained in a clean, safe, and sanitary condition. The occupant that shall keep that part of the exterior property which such occupant occupies or controls in a clean and sanitary condition.
What's everybody's feeling on that?
We didn't deal with any of that tonight.
I mean, we were bringing in the building, but that's not supposed to be brought in. And
We can't discuss the building.
so,
I mean, all this stuff here is the other,
my position on that, I don't know what everybody else's is, that, and Jan, and I agree with Jan, I don't think that was even brought into any evidence or discussion, that first citation.
let's skip that one. What's
question
the
is-
next one?
My question is, it's been 10 years.
Wait, no, we
Where in the
can't,
hell
we can't
have
pick
we
up
been
in
doing?
10 years.
What have we done for that 10
We
years?
gotta focus. We're
always
all,
Yeah, I don't know, but we're.
I'm in agreement on
We gotta
that.
stick with these, stick with
Yeah.
what's going on.
what's the second one?
All right.
Vehicles.
I know
You
how
wanna read that?
these guys work.
Do we need to read it?
No, if you got your copy,
Yeah.
if you wanna
Yeah.
take a look at it.
I think we're all in agreement on, I think that has not been addressed or corrected.
Okay, the vehicles, they were presented the registration, okay? And by word of mouth, we were presented that all vehicles are operable.
Yeah.
We have no proof that they are operable.
If they're licensed, they don't have to be operable.
Right.
It's either or.
And the city
And
wasn't
all
able,
these are current, or these are expired on here? Did they look at that?
and the city wasn't able to present evidence that they are operable. We had a police officer came in front of us, could not identify the vehicles not being operable. The only thing that he had is, there was an engine that he seen removed from one of the vehicles. So there's no way that we can prove that they were inoperable or not. So that part of the citation, my personal
That's two
opinion.
different things. Were inoperable or are inoperable.
Yeah, there was no evidence presented that either they were inoperable or operable, either way,
That's what I'm saying.
The only evidence was his testimony.
right. Unlicensed motor vehicles, they presented the registrations to us. So, I mean, if you're talking, if we're talking about license plates and registrations, I don't know,
Yeah, he had the burden to prove whether they were either licensed or operative.
okay,
It seems he provided some evidence that they are licensed.
right.
Or were at one time.
Well, he actually presented,
No.
and we're deliberating, so,
I mean, these registrations are 1999? Is that what I'm seeing? Or is that because it's historic? So this is proof that they're registered, but what's the years on this, guys? It's 1963, four-door tan
Date
Dodge.
of issue 24,
Yeah, this one's,
7/15.
Yeah, this
Date of the
one's legit.
citation, 7/3,
No fake.
7/2.
yeah, so he registered.
It's registered
Yeah.
after the citation.
so he did take action on that.
This was
This is right after.
Or wait, is that the date it's printed on?
Date of issue.
Those two, one was 8/12, that's yesterday?
Yep.
2 days ago? So he did take action on that, as far as he renewed the registration for these two vehicles. The other vehicles, I'm
next
seeing
step would
1999 everywhere. Maybe that's because it's historic?
Yeah, I don't understand what it says expires December
Oh, that's
11th,
8/14.
99999, because it's historic.
Yeah, this one's issued today, guys.
right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah. So one was issued on 7/15, last month. One was issued 12, which is 2 days ago. And then one was issued today.
Yeah, 8/14.
So
Okay.
are we to assume then that they were not licensed at the time of the citation?
I think
And do
you're
we
right.
want to enforce the fine based on that?
Yeah.
Even if he's since remedied it?
Well, I think the reason we're here is that he wasn't working with our guy, or with the city's guys. And I'm in agreement with what you just said.
That is a whole big scam.
Okay, so on that
Has been for
citation,
10 years, and now we're starting another.
And how much is that citation for, 500?
well, it could be a minimum of 100 up to 500, based on what this board wants to assess.
What's
Yeah,
the,
and I can't go back on the previous citations, and there was no evidence presented if it was resolved by fines being paid. The only reason I'm bringing that up, if we had known that, and this was a habitual violator that ignored our code, and then at that point there, I would be looking at a higher fine. But, my personal opinion is, you know, that I'll be looking more at the minimum fine on that violation.
because
but
he did
whatever.
take action?
Well, he took action, he rectified it now, and he's not, shouldn't be cited again unless he put other vehicles on that property. You know,
Are we
'cause-
going to go back on all the cases we've heard and look at the cases that are similar and reduce their fine amount?
no, because on the, I mean, the cases, those are separate from this case.
Yeah.
Only separate because they did what was expected of them under the law.
Right, but we're basing it on
this is
these,
not.
these violations. So what's your feeling about the fine, and what's the rest of the board's feeling about the fine?
Go ahead.
No, you know, I'd like to know what your decision is, you know, we're deliberating together. That, I put out what my opinion was, you know.
We're still talking about the vehicles, right? We're on number 2. the
Yeah, we're on
vehicles.
number 2, the vehicles. What's your feeling, Mark?
My feeling is, this has been, I feel the frustration from the city. I feel like he brought his attorney and he addressed, from his point of view, as far as the vehicles go, he's shown some evidence that he's taken action to register them, which tells me that wasn't registered before.
Right.
It'd be something that we would waive if we felt like he, in good faith, was working with the city.
But that wasn't happening, the way it sounds.
I don't, you know.
I mean, the testimony we received, that he wasn't working with the city at the time.
Yeah. If there was any goodwill sense of, hey, what do we need to do and get this done? And it sounds like it was at one time with the previous attorney, and that's since been negated, I'd feel a lot more lenient. I don't feel that way.
Okay.
What's the third one, if I may ask, Ray? I know we're bouncing around here.
That's the pavement, paving the, it's a parking violation. It's design and layout of all-street parking, and we were talking about difference between asphalt, concrete, and concrete. And the city had testified that they don't feel like this
It's
was the
overgrown,
right aggregate or the right mixture for it to actually be laced as asphalt. The attorney was testifying that, hey, the thing says it's supposed to be new off-street parking, you know, so where do we stand on that? And then I threw it out the question about, you know, we didn't cite him in the past, and we're citing him now for that violation. That doesn't mean that,
What's your sense on that, Chad?
I think the term new kind of holds all the weight for me, because I'm not sure that this even applies. I mean, I don't think it matters what it is if it's not a new parking pad.
I mean, at any point were we
What
asking?
it's made out of
Is the
doesn't
city
matter.
asking them to pave it? I don't think they probably can they?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think it's been used as a parking lot, basically.
And it's been overgrown, and if he cuts it once, then in his mind, he's considered that it's cleared. If I cut my grass once, and I told my wife it's cleared for the summer, I'm not sure she'd take it.
but So it's still the city, you know, even though we've determined that it's not a new asphalt, it's not a new pad, driving pad. That's not gonna stop the weeds and everything coming, so he's still gonna have to maintain the property, and they can still cite him for that stuff. And the whole thing is it comes to any property owner working with the city to, but apparently he didn't want to work with the city. I understand where I might feel like, hey, you know, we need to show something here since he wasn't working with the city. But I think I'm looking at these violations and the only violation that I feel that we should pursue with any fine is the one, the motor vehicle, because at the time, those cars weren't registered and they weren't licensed.
I mean,
It's a
I'm
tough
leaning
call.
in the same direction. I think the third one, I'm just not sold on that based on the language of the ordinance itself. I do think the motor vehicle issue could warrant a fine of some sort.
I'm in
I'm
agreement.
not sure he met his burden to prove it at the time.
And what about the first one? We're just gonna, the first one sounds like just kind of a overview, kind of general.
I mean, there wasn't really any evidence presented about the sanitation part of it. I mean, we started to go down that path, but then we were corrected that it was different, and even their attorney presented this property right here. I mean, you're looking at something like that, yeah. But that was,
And I agree, I thought that was his property.
you know,
I'm
so,
glad
but,
that was clarified.
and I'm not sure, you know, I didn't hear the city come out and say anything about the sanitation. All they know is this wasn't included. And, I mean, I guess if the city had presented something stipulating the reason why they cited for that sanitation, but as a board member, and maybe, you know, I should have asked the questions
Yeah.
about that, and the questions weren't offered. But I have to look at what we were presented with, the photos. I gave the 3 photos to the city, and they said, no, that doesn't include it. So I don't really think that the sanitation citation should stay in place. The motor vehicle, I agree. The mount, it's up to the board if they want to make that determination, and then somebody wants to put a motion, we could go that route. I'm looking towards just that one citation, motor vehicles.
I'm in agreement.
Okay. Do we have a motion by the board members, any
Well,
board members?
My sense is exactly what was brought up as far as the frustration from the city, which, again, we've been up here enough times with enough people that when you work with the city and you get in goodwill, give an action plan and again, work with our personnel to, you know, solve a problem, we can find a solution. But I'm getting a sense that if there isn't a fine here and there isn't any, then nothing's ever gonna, there should be incentive or disincentive for not cooperating with our, you know, with our regulations and, you know.
Okay,
My
so,
sense is if we do the one of the 3, that we do the maximum.
okay, so I'm gonna need a motion from the board stipulating what citations that we're gonna rule on, and so if there's 2 citations that have to be thrown out, we have to do that, and only find 1, and then I need a motion how much the board wants to fine for that individual. I gave my opinion where I felt it would stand.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put a motion out there for that.
Can we put an all-encompassing motion that says that we have chosen not to move forward on the 2 motions, but on the third one, I make a motion that we.
You can do that as one motion.
Yes. Okay, I'm
motion.
gonna try to do it.
Okay.
I make a motion that we
Here.
negate.
That you don't wanna,
The first and the third motions have to do with sanitation and the design layout, that we negate that, if that's the right term.
You waive.
We waive the enforcement on that, or the the enforcement and the fine for that, but for the second, for the motor vehicles, I make a motion that we uphold that code enforcement and go with the maximum of $500.
Anybody want to second that motion?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Tiffany, you want to take the role of the board?
Chad Silver,
Yes.
Raymond Butts,
Yes.
Mark Maron,
Yes.
Jan Upshaw,
I'm sorry, but I really don't understand what we're voting on.
We're not taking action on the first and the third, we're taking the maximum action on the second. We felt that we couldn't move forward on the sanitation, because we really didn't see it on that, and we really couldn't move forward on the asphalt, because it just seemed, it was never brought up or enforced before. But we're taking the maximum on the
No,
vehicle.
Votes, Jan votes no.
no.
Lynn,
Yes.
Okay. We have votes of 4-1. And
Motion to adjourn.
I guess if we have any other business for this board?
What's the mailing address to send this to?
225 West Court Street, Cincinnati.
Somebody walks with 10 years.
$500. $500. $500.
Surprised your parents didn't make you go Jesuit, man. St. X? St. X?
So let's, sir, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
We have a second. All in favor? Or you want to take a vote?
Chad Silver,
Yes.
Raymond Butts,
Yes.
Mark Maron,
Yes.
Jan Upshaw,
Motion to adjourn? Go ahead and turn your,
No, I don't need that.
I'll try this for you.
Sorry, man. Wish I could have done the max.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I had a question. I was just curious. Why is it, why sound